As promised, it is Sport of Speed Week, and that means Devon Henry with the team is with us here at Sports 360 AZ. Devon is the Sport of Speed guy that has all sorts of thoughts. So last year it was Chase Elliott in November, Joey Logano last March. And this was right around when COVID was breaking last year and all that stuff was going down. So here we are a year later. It feels to me like, Devon, and I can't cite this, but it just feels like it's the same group of drivers that win at Phoenix. It's not like across the board where everybody's got a shot. Am I right or am I just dead flat wrong on that as we come into this week?
To a point, I mean, if you would have said that 2 years ago, absolutely. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, maybe some other guys at Stewart Haas Racing, they win all the time. Joey Logano doesn't win there very often. Won there back in March. Chase Elliott, he's always had speed at Phoenix, finally sealed the deal to win a championship. That was his first ever win at Phoenix. But at the end of the day, you're dealing with a 1 mile dog-legged oval. It's a short track, but it's not a short track. And it really fits into certain guys' background of racing when it comes to the short track, but not really a short track because there's still a lot of dog to dog racing. They're putting traction compound on the track to move it up a lane. So on one hand, yeah, if Kevin Harvick wins this weekend, don't be surprised.
Right.
But
Right.
on the other hand, if a guy like Alex Bowman goes out and wins, who's never won here at his home track before, that's not much of a surprise either, because we have seen a couple of guys in recent history get their first career win here at Phoenix Raceway.
Okay, what has caught your eye so far early in this season on the NASCAR circuit?
Well, first and foremost is the parity. Michael McDowell wins the Daytona 500. This is his 14th year in NASCAR, Brad. 14 years. 0 and 300 something losses, right? Wins the Daytona 500 from right here in Glendale, Arizona. And then he keeps doing well. Him and Kevin Harvick, the only two drivers to have a top 10 the first 3 years or the first three races in a row. So he's doing extremely well. William Byron goes out. He wins a race. He's only won a couple in his very young career. Christopher Bell wins his first ever race in NASCAR's Cup Series at a road course. He's a dirt car driver, and he wins at a road course. And then, of course, Kyle Larson, a lot of weird background stuff on him this past year. He wins in his first 4 races with Hendrick Motorsports. We don't know who's going to win when, Brad. If you
Right.
would have told me in the first 4 races, those were your first 4 winners, I would have said, I tell you what, if you went and spent some money on that in Vegas, you'd sure win a lot of money because no one else thinks so. But that's just the way that it's been. It's been parity, parity, parity. So who wins this week? If it's a guy win his first ever Cup Series race, at this point, I don't think anyone is surprised.
Devon Henry hosts the Inside Lane. You can see his content right here on the website at sports360az.com. He will be out at the track. You've talked to a lot of people in the sport in the last couple of weeks. Jamie Little, Mike Joy. What are their thoughts? What are you taking away from your conversation with them about where the sport is?
Well, first and foremost, I actually talked to Mike Joy exactly about this. And he mentioned back in 2007, you couldn't go into a supermarket and not see a cardboard cutout of some driver trying to sell you something, right? It seemed like there was a NASCAR driver everywhere, whether you knew them or not. And since 2007 being the second most viewed sport in America, television and attendance wise, they've been on this giant slide. And they thought they corrected it during 2020, obviously the first major sport to return. They thought that they had corrected the slide. They're going back up. First 4 races of the year, that's not what the ratings are telling us. They are still on a bit of a slide. It's not bad. They're getting the younger demographic, but it's not where it was 10 years ago. So while the sport is doing all right, something that Mike Joy specifically said, they need more consumer products to come and sponsor cars. So when you have Domino's Pizza, you think of Denny Hamlin and go, you know what? I want to watch that number 11 car, see how it does this Sunday. And we'll hear from actually Mike Joy a little bit later on exactly what he said. But another point that I talked to Adam Alexander, Jamie Little, and Mike Joy all about is the championship race here in Phoenix for the second year in a row. And I asked them, what are your thoughts on it going beyond just 2 years? The championship being here for years. It was at Homestead Miami Speedway for decades. And they said, it's about a 99% chance that it will be at a NASCAR owned track. We love Phoenix. We love the sights. We love the racing. But everyone has a belief right now that whether that's next year, the year after, 2 years later, the championship will likely get moved around like the Super Bowl does and change every couple of years. So hopefully Phoenix Raceway just has a chance to host a championship without a pandemic going on and kind of have that championship atmosphere.
All right, you mentioned Mike Joy. You've got a little bit of sound on that, a little bit you want to share with the consumers here, the fans of racing and just sport in general here in the Valley.
Yeah, talk to Mike Joy. It's up on the site sports360az.com. And he went very in depth on the world of racing, motorsports, including here in Arizona with Bear Jackson and, of course, Phoenix Raceway. But he specifically looked at what we just talked about, Brad. Where's the sport going, and what does the sport need the most to succeed moving forward?
The one thing looking back that's very difficult to figure out is how we went from being the number 2 sport in America in terms of attendance and TV ratings in 2007 to the slide that I really thought we had arrested, and maybe we haven't. And I think one of the biggest changes we've seen is a reduction in the number of consumer products and services being advertised on these race cars. A company ran a large campaign and it featured Denny Hamlin, and the girl goes, "Hey, Denny, nice PJs." 2 things happen out of that. One is eventually you remember Domino's Pizza, that was their ad. And the other thing is, yeah, hey, Denny Hamlin, race car driver. I want to tune into the race to see how he does. Casual fans, they need those prompts, or they're not naturally going to tune in. And that's not unique to NASCAR. It's true of almost every sport.
And I've seen across Twitter, Brad. I don't know if you've seen the Domino's commercial ad where the little girl loves Denny's PJs or not, but some fans hate it. For me, every time it comes on, I have a giant smile on my face. But like Mike Joy said, that's what NASCAR needs to market these drivers, not just in a helmet in the cockpit. We've had this conversation with the NFL. Take the helmets off. The face, the personality of the athlete is oh so important in marketing the sports.
So, and I agree with Mike on that and what you have to say there. And that whole interview is up on the site at sports360az.com. You talk with Michael McDowell, and the story here is the Daytona 500 winner, born here in the Valley. Take me down that path a little bit, and we'll hear from him.
Oh, absolutely. And Michael McDowell is just, I don't care who you talk to. No one has a negative thing to say about Michael. He has been grinding it out in the NASCAR Cup Series for 14 years now. And for those who don't understand a lot about NASCAR, it's not like the Dallas Cowboys where you start throwing money and money and money and money. At certain points in NASCAR, you have to stop throwing money out. And Michael has never raced for a team like Joe Gibbs Racing, Hendrick Motorsports, Stewart Haas Racing. It's always been these lower budget teams where you don't go out to win a race. You go out to keep the car clean to save the team money, and you go out to get the team enough money to race the next week. This is what he's been grinding out and doing for years and years. And he said that he knew every time he comes to Daytona, he thinks he has a chance to win that race. And he said that he knew that if he just kept on fighting and getting those opportunities, one day the opportunity would arise for him to win a race in NASCAR. And he will forever be on that list of under 200 guys in the past 70 years to win a race in the biggest automobile industry, sports industry in the world, arguably, besides maybe F1. So this is a guy who's overcome every single odd. I talked to him about how he would just used to ride his bike down to the local karting track over by, it's not Wet and Wild anymore, but the water park out by Glendale by the mountain. He would just ride his bike over there. He eventually became a 2-time international karting champion. And tonight, he's going back to that track where he cut his teeth, and he is racing against some of the youngsters that look up to him as a guy in NASCAR from Glendale. That's so cool. I'll be there tonight. You'll see the story on Sports 360 AZ. He's a very religious person. I think that this is a true David versus Goliath story. And it's going to be fun tonight to watch him race against all the kids following in his footsteps.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. You have a safe and fun week. I know that this, for you, it's like being at Disneyland or Christmas morning when the presents open up. So knock it out of the park as you've been doing through the years with the company, and have fun out there, Devon. Thanks.
Will do. My 3 favorite things: Disney parks, Christmas Day, NASCAR in Phoenix.
Good stuff. There's Devon Henry, and we're back with more after this timeout.